pretty fun. Yeah, that's pretty incredible. So, to be correct, so the year that you were in, the year the Jets won the Super Bowl in 1969 was the year that you were in the Green Berets.
That's correct. I was in the military in '68, and that's when they won their championship. And they had to only play one game, and that is they beat Oakland, and then they go to the Super Bowl. And
Okay, so it's a little bit different.
The reason Joe said that we are going to win is Baltimore played a zone defense. Now, in a zone defense, you have a certain area that you have to cover, and you have to be able to do it within split seconds. What we were using was 2.3 seconds. If we could take the ball, Joe could take the ball, drop back, throw it within 2.3 seconds to a spot, the defender could not get there. You understand? Right. The defender couldn't make it. We knew we could score. We knew we could run the offense. How well the defense was going to do just depended on how well the defense was going to do. And we knew it, that zone defense was from the NFL. We were AFL. We were wide open. We're throwing the thing everywhere. And they were not going to be able to cover it as well. And, of course, Unitas was hurt. And Morrill did the best he could.
Oh, because it was the Baltimore Colts at the time. Yes, right. Yes.
So we were up, and we won that thing. And, of course, it was a thrill for everybody.
Yeah.
Including Joe, who gave him the number one. We're number one. We're number one.
Yeah.
And it really made his life. You know, that game made his life, because we can go back in statistics today, and you can compare him to other people, and he doesn't compare.
Yeah, he's good. Yep.
Yeah. Well, he was pretty good. And you have to win football games.
Yeah.
And I go back and look at, you can go back and look at how many games they actually won and how many they lost. And
wasn't
they didn't have, I think, but one winning season.
Yeah, they were obviously underdogs to the Baltimore Colts. I read that.
Oh, for sure.
And weren't they like 10-4 or something like that? I think so.
The Jets, no, they were 8-6.
8-6. The year they won the Super Bowl.
Until they won that playoff game. Then they were 9-6.
9-6.
And that's one of the reasons that I said, no, I'm not coming back.
Because wow. Yeah, so that's incredible. That's a good segue to our next topic. Since you played with Joe Namath for a few years, what was he like on and off the field? And what have you kept in contact with any of the with him or any of the players that you used to play with?
I have seen him a number of times.
Wow.
We scatter when the season's over. Everybody scatters all over the country, and it's very hard to keep up with them. But he came to Chicago, and a young man, one of our players, who I'm still in contact with, was going to have a meeting, and Joe was going to be the speaker. And we had a guy from the Channel 7 News Sports who was going to be the MC, and he broke his leg, couldn't come, and Earl asked me if I would be the MC. So I said, sure, I'll be the MC. And so that was the job that I had that night. We had about 250 Christians. Now, this is a Christian church group who was meeting, and Joe is going to be the speaker. Now, you can know or not know Joe's reputation from being on the streets in New York, and Broadway Joe was his name for a reason, because he was out most nights longer than anybody else, but he could still get 8 hours sleep and be at practice at 11 o'clock. But they used to write him up all the time with pictures of girls and stuff and all that. So I am the MC, and Joe is sitting out there in front of me, and he had brought one of his daughters to the meeting. She was 13, and she was with my then wife. And
when was this?
He was telling some stories that I didn't think that he should have been telling in front of his 13-year-old daughter. But I looked at Joe and I said, Joe, you know, the times that we were together, I don't think you ever asked me for my autograph.
Well,
and he looked up at me and he said, no, Bob, I don't believe I ever did. And I said, well, guess what? I never asked you for your autograph either. I said, but I have this AFL football and I'd love for you to sign it. And he says, well, sure. So he got up and came up on the platform and I gave him a pen and he's got my AFL football. Now you got to remember AFL, NFL. There's no such thing as AFL anymore. This is a collector's item.
Yeah, that's great. That must be worth a lot.
Well, so Joe's got this ball and he's standing right beside me and some people, friends of mine, are taking pictures. And Joe's got this pen and he's got this look on his face, a sheepish look like I'm going to ruin this football. And so I said to the audience, I put my hand and he could hear everything. And I said, when Joe Namath signs this AFL football, it's going to be worth about $3,000. And he's smiling. And then he gives me my football back. And it says, hey, Bob. All he had to say was Joe Namath. Hey, Bob.
Yeah.
Thanks for being a great pal and teammate of mine. Your pal, Joe Namath. Number 12. But now the value of my football just went down to about $200. So as a matter of fact, I have somebody trying to buy it. And he wants to buy it, and he collects New York Jet paraphernalia. And I've still got it. So it was so funny. He really got me. Joe would give you the shirt off of his back. Mm-hmm. Joe was liked in any room he walked in. You would just all of a sudden you'd look at Joe Namath. That's just who Joe was. Flamboyant, had a way with the girls, which I didn't choose to go that route. I'm from one woman, married to one woman. That's what I want in my life. I don't need this other.
Yeah.
And so everybody loved Joe. Mm-hmm. I have to say this to you. When you're on a team, you have to be a team member.
Yeah.
You can't be an individual.
Yeah. And
when we would get on the planes and fly to wherever, we would land. And in those days, the buses came out to the planes. And you just got off the plane, got in the bus, you drove off to the hotel or to the stadium. And there was always one player who never got on the buses. Now, who do you think that was?
Joe Namath.
That would be a nice convertible with some blonde, beautiful woman. Joe gets in the car, waves to everybody, and he's gone.
That's crazy.
Okay. Now you tell me you are the coach of this team, and you are going to allow that to happen.
I wouldn't. No.
I am just telling you in a real nice way that you have a team of players who pull together, or you have a team of players who may go in different directions. And he always tended to go in a different direction. Now, he's a wonderful guy. He had plenty of money. He would share the money with people. He'd buy you stuff. He's a good guy. But when practice is at 11 o'clock, you don't walk in at 5 minutes to 11.
Yeah.
I'm there at 9:30.
Yeah.
Practice is at 11. And when I was quarterbacking my team at Tech, I spoke to every player before we went out on the field to let them know how much we depended on them, what they needed to do for us. And he would never speak to anybody. Mm-hmm. And we even had a situation where one person decided they were going to do away with this man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. In a bar. And they wrestled him to the ground with his knife in his hand.
Dang.
And he was one of our players. And he was traded the next morning. But there was that kind of, because Joe made so much money. Listen, he drew 45,000. 45,000 is what he drew for a season. Most of the guys were playing for 8, 10,000. The coaches were making $10,000.
And that was a lot back then, yeah.
Well, it was twice what a normal college graduate would make. The salary for a kid coming out of school would make $5,000. So they were making 10, but you had to move to New York and then move back home for this money. So you didn't make any money. You played because you loved the game.
Yeah.
And that's what the difference was. You mentioned about the days gone by and the days today.
Yeah.
So much money
There's
that everything is judged by the money.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Walter Payton never ran out of bounds when he got to the sideline.
Yeah.
He ran up the field. And if he gained an extra yard or 2 yards over 10,000 carries or 5,000 carries, guess what? That's another 1,000 yards that he gained. Today, you watch them, they run out of bounds.
Right.
They have to try to keep from getting hit, because getting hit takes its toll. Eventually, it could hurt you. You could lose your revenue. And so, unfortunately, it became a money game.
Yeah.
We play for the love of it, and they play for the money in it.
Yeah, that's good. And I mean, yeah, definitely a lot more, because these days, I mean, let's see, a guy just got signed for 10 years, $500 million.
It makes no sense.
I know. And 50, I think it's 50 million a year or something like that. It's crazy.
I haven't heard that one.
Go ahead.
The only guy, in my estimation, was worth the money that he made was Michael Jordan.
Yeah. Okay.
Every place that they went from half full to full. Every place to see Michael Jordan. Everywhere. So the NBA made money off of Michael Jordan.
Right.
And Michael Jordan was the highest paid. He's now worth, I think he's worth $3 billion. I think he is right now. I just saw it the other day. And he was worth the money for what he did to the league. There's not a player today that can't be replaced tomorrow at 1/10 of the pay and still get the job done. So I totally disagree with this. It is not the way it's supposed to be. And the one thing that you're going to ask about later is college players being paid. And you know that's coming. Yeah. Because they're using someone's name like mine and advertising. Let's just say they advertise Virginia Tech football, and they use my name to get money into the till to pay for the stadium and blah, blah. So that is going to be the worst thing that could happen to unprofessional sports like colleges, because now I'm going to have to judge whether I hand the ball off or whether I run into the end zone for a touchdown so that I get credit, so that I make more money than you make. And I totally disagree with it. I understand the using of people's names, but it should go into a till if it's got to happen, and everybody should receive the same amount of money if that's going to happen. And I disagree with it. It's going to be the downfall of college sports.
And that's crazy, because then college players could be like, we're not going to show up to practice today or school today because we have so much money. Yeah. And we're set. That's true. It's really, it really never ceases to amaze me how much these guys get paid in the NFL right now. But
well, we had, the story was of one person who was in college, and he had a sad deal. And I think he made $36,000 his senior year signing autographs on the internet and having people take his autographs and sell them. And he was still in college.
Wow.
And so they're trying to do away with some of that. But, we were, I think, as honest in that. I never was given one man gave me a sport coat for Christmas. And he was one of my dearest friends. And he came to me later, he says, I want you to give me this coat back, because I don't want anyone to think that I have done something to hurt your career. And I gave him the coat back. Another of our players received like 6 pair of slacks, 6 shirts, underwear, blah, blah, on his front porch. and he never knew who put it there.
Mm-hmm.
And so you could say if he received that, he could lose his scholarship. But we just didn't have that as a problem.
Mm-hmm.
We really didn't, and I'm proud of that from Virginia Tech. I'm proud of that.
Wow. So this has been a ton of fun. You've given me a lot of advice of your playing days and just advice, as in general as a young man and different things. So, I mean, it was really fun talking to you. Thanks for letting me interview you.
Well, you're welcome. I want to finish this with one story.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a Billy Graham crusade when I was 13. My father had left home, left my brother and my little sister. And I went down front to Billy Graham and to the Lord, and I said, I'm going to accept you as my Savior, and I want you to be my new dad.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother didn't go down with me, but I kept that in my heart for as long as today, all the way to today. And we played against the University of Richmond in that stadium where I gave my life to the Lord. And he let me rush for 204 yards in that game. I was at 206 yards, and the coach told me to take a knee. I took a knee. Now I'm at 205 yards. And he said, I want you to take a knee. Took a knee, 204 yards. The record for any running back was 205 yards. And I went from 206 to 204, and he apologized to me profusely for making me do that. He didn't know. I didn't know. I knew nothing. I never cared about the statistics. Yeah. But that's what the Lord did for me in that stadium where I committed my life to him.
Wow.
Now I'll let you go.
Well, yeah, it has been a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. This is Bob, or good friends will call him Robert Schweickert. Obviously, again, like I said at the beginning, back up for a little while to the Jets. Had some great stories to share. Was an All-American for Virginia Tech. It has been a pleasure, and we will see you guys later.